TPT is not what it used to be. Teachers Pay Teachers is oversaturated. There's no way that new buyers have a chance. Buyers that have been around for a long time have like an entire team that work for them, so the rest of us don't stand a chance at all. You can't make money on TPT. Have you heard any of these things before? Have you even said some of these things before? All of those things you just heard, some of them have a degree of truth to them, but the sentiment is not true. And also, they're all excuses. These are things that people tell themselves or other people when they don't think they can succeed on Teachers Pay Teachers. And so instead of trying, they say some of this stuff. And I'm here to tell you, it's all crap. Don't believe it. So we're here to talk about the main question, which is what all the other things talk about. And that is, can you still make money on Teachers Pay Teachers? And the answer is yes. All right, video's done. Bye. Just kidding. Now, even though the answer is yes, you can still make money on Teachers Pay Teachers, it's not quite that simple. So let's kind of dive into why it's still true. You can still make money on Teachers Pay Teachers. And then also I have 3 tips to help you stand out, because it is different than it used to be. The reason that people say all those things, other than because they are just, you know, again, making excuses, is because Teachers Pay Teachers used to be a lot different. Way back at the beginning of TPT, it seemed to be, from what I can understand, because I wasn't around at the beginning of Teachers Pay Teachers, it seemed to be a lot simpler, I would say. Now, I hesitate to say that because I, again, wasn't around, so I don't really know. But from what I've heard, it was a lot more simple to just kind of like slap something up and it gets sold. The main reason I see for this is because there were less sellers on TPT years ago than there are now. And now there's a lot more sellers. But that is actually a good thing, because more sellers means there's also going to be more buyers. There's more people driving traffic to Teachers Pay Teachers, which means there's more people on Teachers Pay Teachers. And the more people who are on Teachers Pay Teachers, the more people who could potentially spend money in your store. So even though it's not quite as easy as it maybe once might have been, or people say it was, you know, 10 years ago. So, I mean, was it really that easy? It's still possible today. I wasn't around when TPT started. I founded my Teachers Pay Teacher store in 2018 in the fall. And so I've been around a little bit, but honestly not that long in the grand scheme of things. I hear a lot of TPT sellers who have been around for 10 years or 12 years, and I'm just not there. I'm just not. And I currently have what I consider to be a fairly successful TPT shop. If you don't believe me, you can go watch my income reports and decide for yourself whether you think that's success or not, because it's all subjective. I've also have friends who have TPT stores who have started even after I did, and some of whom are doing even better than I'm doing. So it's very much possible, and it's honestly not as hard as you make it out to be, but it does require some hard work, just like it did 10 years ago. TPT back then and TPT now both require hard work in order to succeed, like everything in life. So even though it might be a little harder to get found because there are more products and more sellers, there's also a lot of opportunity. There's new people on TPT. It gets more popular, which means that more people are there and spending money. And so there's a lot of opportunity there as well. So let's talk about some ways that you can stand out now that the market is a little bit more saturated. It's not oversaturated, but it's a little more saturated. So number 1 is gonna be to find your niche. Your niche is basically like your little corner of the internet. And I like to think of it as where what you're good at and what people are looking for kind of intersect. So the things you enjoy making, you're good at making, and the things that people are actually purchasing, where those meet, that's your niche. So that might be that you're really good at making centers activities, or at making sight words activities, or at making digital activities, or whatever, but whatever that little section is, that is gonna be your niche. Now, if you're like, but Becca, how the heck do I figure out what my niche is? We've talked about it before, so I'll leave a link to a video where we go more in depth into it, but basically what you can do to figure out your niche, I would start by figuring out what you like and what you're good at. So just take a piece of paper and write down things that you like and things that you're good at, and see what kind of intersects, because you might find that you really like, you know, to do math activities that are a lot of fun. There's your niche. Different things like that. The whole idea of a niche is that you're looking kind of for more like your perfect buyer versus trying to appeal to everybody. So if you're doing like a first grade activity, make sure you appeal to first grade teachers versus, you know, trying to appeal to first grade teachers and 7th grade teachers and 12th grade teachers, because that doesn't make any sense. But try to appeal to your ideal audience. This doesn't necessarily have to be like, these are all the products that I do, but it could be more of like an aesthetic. So I've seen stores where it's kind of like all geared toward more of like a techie, kind of fashion forward kind of teacher. I've seen other stores that are really focused on, you know, differentiation and getting all those different levels in so that teachers can easily accommodate all of their students. And there's other ones that I've seen that really focus on, you know, something really specific. And there's others that I've seen that focus on, you know, all games for math, or, you know, different things like that. There's a lot of different ways you can go. So I want you to figure out what you enjoy and do that. Now, I'm not saying you can't ever go outside your niche. Some people are like, you must stay in your niche. I don't believe that. I think that sometimes if you go out of your niche, you might find that you really like something, or that something else does really well. So have your niche, but don't be like closed-minded about it. Try new things if they pop up, and if they work, great. And if they don't work, then don't try them again. So once you've been on TPT for a while, then it's easier to start seeing your niche, because you can look in your skills reports and see what is actually selling, and the things that are selling well that you enjoy are probably going to be your niche. So if all of the things that are selling well are Google Slides presentations, that must be your niche. Or if it's classroom decor, that might be your niche. Whatever that is, like, look at the data and see where it is. And if you don't have the data, look at what you're interested in and do that. Kind of going off of that, number 2 is going to be, make sure that your products are different than other people's products. It's really tempting to be like, oh, they have sight word flashcards, I'm going to make sight word flashcards. But here's my 2 cents. If there are already sight words flashcards, they don't need me to make sight words flashcards. However, if they have sight word flashcards, but I'm making sight word flashcards that are ocean themed for your ocean themed classroom, then that might be a good idea. Or if my sight word flashcards are, you know, have, I don't know, why do I always pick things outside of my niche? Because I don't know anything about them. But, you know, like maybe my sight word flashcards have pictures on all of them, or maybe they're really aesthetically pleasing, or maybe, you know, different things like that. There's different ways that you can kind of differentiate your stuff from other people's. Or, you know, if someone's got, oh, don't drink that. Or in my niche, I teach elementary music, and so I actually recently went and looked for like a rhythm game, like a specific rhythm game, and I found a couple, but none of them were quite what I wanted. And so that is how I decided to make my own, because I was like, these aren't quite what I wanted. So I'm not copying what they're doing. I'm looking at what they're doing and saying, okay, let's not do that. Let's do something a little different. Let's differentiate it in some kind of way to make it different, so that people have a reason to purchase from me instead of this other person. This is especially important if you're in those bigger niches, like, you know, I feel like kindergarten is like a really big niche. Those kind of things where there's a lot of products in those niches. Just do some research before you start creating, and make sure that you're not, you know, just doing what everybody else does, because then there's no reason to buy from you. You got to have a different reason to purchase from you. Number 3 is going to be focus on your branding. And by branding, I really mean like your whole store and your product listings. You want everything to, first of all, be cohesive. Secondly, to attract the customers that you're after. So if you're after, you know, like really hip, modern, techie kind of teachers, then you want your branding to reflect that and pick colors that reflect that. If you want really fun teachers, then you're gonna probably want like bright colors and patterns and stuff like that. But if you want people to, you know, be a little bit calmer, and if you're like, this is where you come to be calm, and for things to be nice and chill. Then you're gonna want colors that are, you know, more muted, or maybe like blues and greens. And so all of those things go into how you do everything, how you make your products, how you make your thumbnails, how you make your covers, all of that kind of stuff. So I really want you to spend some time thinking about this ahead of time. Mostly because I didn't, and I really regret it. And a lot of my products are frankly really ugly, and I now have to go back and fix them. I also changed my thumbnail design because the first one was ugly, and now I have to go back and fix them. So really focus on that from the beginning, and really thinking through like, how can I make this look professional? And I would keep going until you like something. If you're having a hard time, maybe you ask someone for help. Maybe you are really fancy and you even hire like a graphic designer to help you out. Or maybe you just keep trying and trying and trying until you finally like something. But really spend some time up front thinking like, do I like this? Is it appealing? Because if your products, like especially your covers, if your cover is not appealing, nobody will want to click on it. Like, just being honest. Spend some time on your branding and then also your store and what it looks like. This also extends to your products and making sure that you're using product photography so people can see what the product is. Make sure you're using your previews and using your thumbnails and all of those things, because it's going to give people more information and more reasons to buy from you. Don't leave any of that up to chance, because remember, if someone's confused, they're not gonna buy from you. Like my favorite quote by Zig Ziglar: more often than not, people don't purchase because they don't understand. So make sure they understand by showing them what it is, describing what it is in the description, all of that good stuff. And the last one is maybe the most important one now that there are, yes, more TPT sellers, and we're gonna talk about something else after this, so don't leave yet. But that is to build your audience. Your audience is basically just people that are perfect to buy your products, whether they actually buy your products or not. And it's really important to actually build a relationship with these people so that they will want to purchase, and so that you will know what they need, and so that you can have those communications and you can be there for them and help them, because that's really what it's all about, is helping teachers teach better. So ways that you can build your audience, you can do this through long form content. So like through blogging or YouTube or podcasts. I feel like it works better on YouTube or a podcast because you have that slightly more personal, like I can hear your voice kind of thing, than on a blog where you're just reading. I feel like blogs are a little more impersonal, which you might like, and that's fine. But as far as like building an audience standpoint, it's gonna be better if you are, you know, you can hear what I sound like, and you can kind of get a more of a feel for who I am and what I'm, you know, what I'm here for. The other way you can build your audience is going to be on social media. So whether you like Twitter, whether you like TikTok, whether you like Instagram, whether you like Facebook, whatever, the good thing about teachers is that there are teachers everywhere. So whatever social media speaks to you, that's the one you should do. And that's a huge advantage, because there are other niches where there's a lot of people on Facebook and no one on Instagram, or vice versa. So take advantage of the fact that teachers are everywhere and just go where you want to go. If you like TikTok, then go on TikTok. If you like Twitter, because you're very succinct, I am not, so that's why Twitter doesn't do well for me. But if you are like that, then you can go on Twitter, and that is great. Whatever that is, I want you to go to a social media and focus on building relationships. So not just like, here's a post, there's a post, here's a post, and especially not like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, but actually like build relationships. So post things that are just questions. Ask people questions. What are you doing this summer? What are your weekend plans? How do you deal with this? What's your favorite thing for that? What's your favorite book? Well, you know, all of those things will build relationships with your audience. Also, go and talk to them. So go where they are. Go find other geometry teachers, or go find other history teachers and talk to them. Go comment on their Instagram posts. Go send them DMs, not creepy DMs like those people who randomly are in there like, hey, you should, no. But like, hey, I saw you had a picture of you reading. What's your favorite book? Or, you know, something like that. You know, I saw a picture of your dog. What's your dog's name? What kind of dog is it? Tell me things about your dog, because I love dogs. Those kind of things can help build your relationships with people. The other thing you could do is find kind of like bigger, you know, like teacher accounts, and go comment on those as well. Again, not spammy, not weird, but go comment and just, you know, answer their questions, talk to them, just talk to them. Talk to them. social media is supposed to be social. So go be social, show up and help people, and that's gonna help you to build your brand, and those people will then want to buy from you because they now know you and like you and hopefully trust you. Also, a little hack for building an audience and a really authentic audience, video is the way to go. Podcast can work, but like YouTube or just showing up on stories on videos or doing quick little videos here and there on social media, it makes a huge difference because people can see what you're like and they can kind of imagine you're talking to them and stuff like that. So I know it might feel uncomfortable, but if you can incorporate a little bit of video, it doesn't have to be fancy, but just a little bit, then see if you can, because it's really going to help people to feel more connected to you. And if you're like, Becca, I don't need to build my audience, the answer is yes, you do. And here's why. TPT is more crowded than it used to be, but so are so many niches. I hate when people are like, TPT is oversaturated. I'm like, y'all, how many dry cleaners are in your city? How many? How many? Let's Google it. Let's see. Let's see. I live in Savannah, Georgia, so it's a pretty decent size. Let's see. Dry cleaners. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 24, 25, 26, 38, 39. A quick Google search gave me 39 dry cleaners in my area. And we're not even like a huge city. We're like a medium-sized city. And we're not even a fancy city. Like I live by the beach. We're not fancy. Like people don't even need dry cleaners. Or how many Mexican restaurants are there? Let's see. 39. 12, 13, 14, 25, 26, 27, 46, 47, 48, 5, 56, 57, 58. I'm at 72 and we're quitting there. So there is a lot of Mexican restaurants where I live. And again, it's not like I live in Atlanta or Jacksonville or New York or LA. Like I live in a decent sized town, but it's not humongous. And I counted over 70 Mexican restaurants in the vicinity that like I could drive to easily. The reason I bring this up is because one, TPT is not oversaturated. How many freaking Mexican restaurants are there? Especially when you consider, you know, if someone's gonna go out to eat, they're gonna go to one place. Versus on TPT, if they come to buy a product, they can buy more than one. Number two is that people will identify with certain ones. So there's over 70 Mexican restaurants here where I live. And do you know how many we frequent? We go to 2. We go to 2 different Mexican restaurants. We drive past at least 1, 2, 3, 4. We drive past like 5 or 6 other Mexican restaurants to go to the ones that we like. So if people have a reason to like you over someone else because they found you on Instagram, or they think you're really real, or they love the color schemes of your products, then they're gonna come to you over all those other people. Now, we have 2 Mexican restaurants because we like them for different reasons. There's one that has like the best steak I've ever had in my life, and it is so good. And so when we want like really good steak, we go there. The other one is, I would venture to say, more authentic. It's a little bit cheaper, it's more relaxed, and it's also delicious. And like they have a buffet, and so they just have different things. And so if we want steak, we go to the one. And if we don't want steak, we want, you know, something else, or we don't want to spend quite as much money or whatever, then we'll go to the other one. So we have different reasons for going to these 2, and we drive past all of these other Mexican restaurants in order to get there because they have a brand, i.e. amazing steak or really authentic and chill. And we are, you know, we're their intended audience. We're their best audience members because we go there all the time and we drive past the other ones. So building your audience is something that you should not forget about. Do it, it's important. I do want to make one comment. I've heard some people actually make some really rude comments about TPT sellers who have been around. They're like, ugh, they have other people working for them and they're so big that they have this, that, and the other. And here's what I would like to say about that is good for them. If they worked their butt off to the point where they were able to hire other people to help them and they have like a massive thing going on, great. Like, good job, you're doing awesome, that's amazing. And when you see that, I want you to take it as inspiration instead of disappointing. And also remember, it's not their first year, you know? So it's like, oh, well, they're, you know, they've got all these people working for them, blah, 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 blah. Okay, they didn't have a bunch of people working for them 10 years ago. Like, that's something you have to build up and earn money for and work on. And it's a lot of other kinds of work. So even if they have other people helping them, they're still doing a really awesome job. So look at that and be inspired. Even if it's not what you want, you might not want to employ anybody, that's fine. But look at that and be inspired, because you can do that too. And that's the whole point of this video. So thanks so much for watching, and go get to... I didn't actually want to end there. That was a little bit dramatic, but the camera cut off. So go get to work. I love you. Have an excellent day.